I grew up in Northern California, at a time where I was a product of the 60s. I grew up, at a time when there was a revolution going on in the country. There was, drugs and hippies and rock and roll and all that kind of stuff was going on there. And I was kind of a part of that whole thing. I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol at about the age of 13 years old. And that just continued for a while. It made me feel like everybody else. I had confidence. I didn't have the self-doubt. And so it made me feel okay, and I liked it. And it kind of continued on, and it got more and more involved in different types of drugs, and alcohol was always present. And that was my life going through high school. I got out of high school. I got some jobs, and work just kind of interfered with my drinking and my drug addiction. And so jobs didn't really last very long. So things just kind of progressed on. I didn't really have any intention of quitting. I was going to show everybody I could do it. I always had this feeling that I could do it on my own. I didn't need anybody's help. I didn't need anybody else's opinion, and I can make it, without anybody's help. And that was just kind of my attitude throughout my whole upbringing and high school, and then into my early 20s. And I went into another drug and alcohol rehab. Things got worse and worse, and events started happening maybe in my mid-20s or so. Same thing. I tried to stop, but I just couldn't do it on my own, and I relied only on myself to be able to do it and try to stop. And then finally, I just got to the point where I had lost everything. I was about 30 years old. I had no more people that were around me, no friends. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anywhere to live. In fact, I was homeless. I was sleeping in the backseat of an abandoned car, and all of a sudden I just had a moment of clarity, and I just was thinking, like, what is going on? And I just cried out in desperation, God, please help me. I don't even know where that came from, because I didn't even believe in God at that point, but it just came out. And the next day, somebody came and they took me to the hospital, and they put me back in the hospital, not only for detox and things like that, but I was very sick and literally close to death. And I didn't know what was going to happen once I was done with all that, and once the 35-day program was over. But they told me I had to go out and find a recovery home. And I realized at that point in time that God was putting people in my path. And I interviewed at multiple recovery homes, and the only one that was available that had a room was a recovery home that was run by a Christian brother. And he was an alcoholic himself, and a recovering alcoholic. And he said, hey, Mike, I got one room down in the basement. If you're really interested in and getting sober, you can have that room. And so I did, and that put me on the path where he became my spiritual mentor. I started reading the Bible every day. I started praying every day, and I could see that God then was working in my life and putting people in my life to take me down a path and help me get through this. And this great kind of relief just came over me, and this sense of calmness and peace that I hadn't experienced. And what I was trying to do with the drugs and alcohol and fill the void that was in me earlier, I think that God's grace is what filled that hole inside of me and gave me that peace. And so then it's been a long journey. It's been 27 plus years now since that day, and I turned my will and my life over to Jesus and accepted him as my Savior, and it's been just an amazing journey since then. I've done amazing things. He's continued to put people in my life. He's given me an opportunity to support my family, or he's actually given me a family, which is amazing. I have 2 beautiful kids and a beautiful wife. I've had a job that has allowed me to support my family all through this whole time, and it's what God's grace and the amazing part of this is all about.